96 in reverse.
It is 96 in reverse, and you can have the worst of my drink, and we can switch places. Now we are in reverse.
Hello and welcome back to 96 in reverse. And guess what? We have the usuals here, but we have something that we added on this time. Nate, how you doing today, girl? Okay, Miss. So far, so good. Just a little burn. Came back from the beach. Michelle, how you doing,
I
girl?
was gonna say, have you seen my face? I'm doing pretty well, but
Okay,
yeah,
that's
I gotta go slap on some makeup later.
okay. Okay, that's fine. Cedric, what are you up to? Because I see you smiling over there from head to toe.
I mean, this weekend has been crazy, but
Mm,
I'm here and I'm
okay.
alive. Amen.
All right.
Mm.
Okay, so Nate, you brought two people in. Tell me, what is this all about?
Yay.
Okay. All right, all right.
Good. Honored to be an add-on.
Good, good. Thanks for having us here.
So we got some new questions we want to ask, right, Nate? Is that what I hear? So you want to start that off? A topic. Oh, damn, we got a topic today, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh. Give me an explanation of that,
Mm,
because some people might not know what that means. Hmm. Oh shit. Okay.
mhm.
All right. I need to ask the first one. How long have we been dating, or are we married, or are we there yet?
Nick, take this one.
We are domestic partners. So right
Okay.
now, I would say marriage like is in the future, but we've
Future.
been together for a very long time, like 10 plus years
Oh
or
wow.
so. But yeah.
That's good. That's good. So I have
Mhm.
a lot of questions now, but
Yeah.
I'll let Nate ask. Go,
Yeah.
Nate.
Okay. Taki, you want me to take this one as well, or you wanna?
No. I guess I'll own it. I was young and stupid. I met one of Nikki's friends, and there were some things going on, and then that didn't work out. But before then, we I met Nikki. So I was meeting this person at a Barnes and Nobles, the nice one in Times Square. Not Times Square, Union Square. And I met Nikki with one of her other friends at the time, and this became like there started like a string of like repeated hangouts. And then after a while, because people were in school, we were young and stupid, me and this other person didn't end up talking anymore. But
Mhm.
Nikki and I remained friends for like a very like extended amount of time after that. And then, one thing led to another, and we started dating.
Mhm.
Cool, cool, cool. So how's that going so far? Like you guys live together now or no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
It's well, like every other like relationships, I'm sure like you guys have experienced that there are ups, downs, highs, lows. Um, I would say that it has been a relationship, just this might be going a little bit further ahead. I imagine there are other questions touching on this, but real quick. Um, I would say it's like in the most recent year that I'm starting to like, how do I say this? Like kind of just like discover, who we are as individuals, not just like myself and but like how we work in tandem with one
Hmm.
another.
Hmm.
Like, I think one of the challenging aspects is, as you get older, you're trying to figure yourself out as an individual. The other person undoubtedly is also trying to do that, but it's finding that rhythm uh to work synergistically with one another. Like, I think the way I see it is kind of like, I think the best way that I envision us in some ways, it's like, I'm sure you guys have watched cooking shows. It's like when two people in the kitchen know how to play off of one another. Like, it
Hmm.
gets intense, it gets crazy.
Hmm. Yep.
But after a certain point, after you get burned, after you get cut or whatever, you understand the cues, you
Hmm.
understand. And that isn't to say that there won't be fuck ups or there won't be misunderstandings and whatnot, but there's a baseline to
You know,
return back to.
what's the funny
So,
thing about that
yeah.
is that me and Michelle are exactly the same as you two, but reverse.
Yeah. Yep.
I just
We're the
realized that.
gender bent alternate universe of you
Yeah.
guys.
That was gonna be my next question because we didn't really introduce like your racial, your
Hmm.
Yeah.
ethnicity, and so we're going into it, and it's like, wait, why are we talking about interracial when we haven't really explained
Right.
your
Yeah. Of
ethnicity?
course. Hmm. Hmm.
So, Nikki,
So, oh, sorry, yo.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah. So I am Dominican American. I was born and raised in Brooklyn. Y'all already know.
Brooklyn in the house.
A per. Anyway, Taki is Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it, love it. Michelle, you're not Chinese, are you? No.
Yes, I am. But it's
Oh
literally the freaking
shit.
opposite. Yeah.
Yes. So it's funny
Okay.
though. It's exactly the same thing. It's like you got Sazon over there, right?
Yeah.
Cooking and doing the dance, bachata and everything, and then you got
Mm-hmm.
Quiet Riot here. Be ready,
Yep.
cause I'm gonna pop that fire and you least expect it. That's
We
how
we
it
Yup.
got plenty
is.
of flavor over here. It's just in
I
a
mean, you
different
guys
sense.
do, but what I'm saying is, when you guys get angry,
Oh
hmm
yeah, yeah. That's where
Mm.
all
so
the seasoning comes out. You know.
yeah,
Oh
so
yeah.
so it's funny thing because I'm saying it's reverse over there. When she gets angry,
Oh,
it's game over.
the difference is
Oof.
also I'm Southern, so
So
you
yeah,
fuck
oh
around, you
lord.
find out.
Oh yeah. Big facts. Big facts. It's the same way with Taki too. Like, same over for me. I try to be the peacekeeper and whatnot. He's more of like, you fuck around, you find out, as Michelle just eloquently put it. When I get mad, it's kind of like the unsettling, like, uh-oh, all hands on deck. This is a level 5 emergency. Everybody get the fuck out of the way. But I try to keep a nice, grip on it.
Oh, you
So
just described me because Pete's the more explosive kind of person, So, but
Yeah.
we've worked on it. We've worked on it. We don't
I,
condone that type of
no, not at
explosive
all.
anger.
Yes,
So yeah,
not at all.
we use our
I
words
don't
now.
I don't know. I mean, I throw stuff, you know?
That sounds like fun.
I just, it's maybe being a 17, like at 17 being an Asian person, like deciding to go work at a restaurant as a cook was just a disaster in the
Mhm.
making, because like when you get angry and you're just cursing, it's like, like someone's screaming at you and they're like, hey, fire four top, and I'm like, shut the fuck up, right? And that's the first thing. And you throw plates, you throw knives, you throw cutting boards, you start throwing food off the table. Like, yeah, that was a
Oh
rest.
yeah,
That
it's better than
was,
throwing people. So
oh,
that makes
I
sense.
mean,
Look,
Just for the record, none
Just
of that
kidding.
happens on this
oh
side.
yeah, I'm just saying.
That was
I've
done.
I've
This is
worked in
now.
food service before, so I totally understand. I worked with this one lady. I'm gonna be honest. She looked like a crackhead. Okay, I'm pretty
Oof.
sure she did crack too. She had two teeth left, and she had these crazy ass eyes. You know, like the ones where the Guinness World of Records where that lady pops out her eyeballs and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh
And she was bald.
no. There's a
So
meme on that.
look, it's just one of those things, okay? So she had been working there for a while, and she was just that one person that when you have like those, what are those intrusive thoughts? She was my intrusive thought person. I'm gonna be honest, I wanted to throw her into the oven. I wanted to do all these things, and I was like, you know what? It's not worth it. So luckily she quit, so it was all good.
Yay! A beautiful, happy ending where
Yes.
hopefully no one got
Yes.
hurt whatsoever.
Oh no, it's all good. Yes. What is the topic?
Yes. Mm, hmm.
As in, like, were they attracted to each other because of race, or or they did they talk about it? Like, I wonder what that means. Oh, okay.
Uh, oh,
I'll ask the question like this, right? You being
mm,
Dominican, him being
mm-hmm,
Chinese,
Is there a culture
mm-hmm.
clash?
how's their culture clash? Like, you need to do
Okay.
this way, you need to do this way because of we do it like this. Like, is
Mm-hmm.
there, or because my ex has done it like this?
I
Is
feel
the question.
triggered. This whole "you need to" part.
I gotcha. Okay, I
Ugh.
see what y'all saying. In my personal opinion, and of course Taki can correct me on this, I personally didn't feel that that was the case in our relationship. I felt that it was more, I felt like it was mostly just us trying to how do I put this? I felt like it was again like just trying to like navigate each other as individuals because of our respective backgrounds. Like me having, you know, an upbringing in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. I'm sorry if I'm not answering the question correctly. I'm just trying to like think of like a really good example. But thankfully, at least I don't think it came up in any sort of unnecessary aggressive ways of like arguing or butting heads as far as like how to execute this or do this or that. If anything, I felt like we were very similar because of the way that we came from, like, you know, immigrant families, um, with similar approaches for the most part. I think the more challenging part was like, you know, when you get big feelings, Dominicans can turn the entire fuck up or maybe shut down. And then on the other side, it's just, at least in my experience, it was just kind of like this quiet storm of sorts, like
Gotcha.
it, which it can be a little bit challenging to navigate through. So I hope that
So
at least answered the
so
question.
let
Sorry.
me add to that question. Have you guys been in a situation where like your parents have been around? Or you go to somebody's house and you're like, he'll be like, oh, don't do that. Don't do that because it is disrespectful. Or she will be like, oh, don't say that because it is disrespectful.
We we definitely have those because there's just no way around it.
Yeah.
But I kind of have to say though, like our relationship is kind of like a unicorn. And I say that because we had friends who were brother and sister and they had Dominican partners.
Mhm.
Mm,
And you know, these former friends of ours, they're also Chinese. And their parents could not, they didn't have a good handle on keeping the racism pot closed, if
Mhm.
you catch my drift. Like it's
Yeah.
always simmering, it's always brewing, and sooner or later, you know, the lid just pops and just, you know, like it's not malicious racism, but
Hmm.
it also wasn't microaggression. It was very much out of the whole I'm displeased that my kids are not dating a Chinese person.
yeah,
My
like,
and
sorry, go on.
my mom had historically, like, you know, at least when I was in high school, was like, hey, why don't you date a Chinese girl? And I'm like, well, you know, I don't really, other than race, I didn't have anything in common with them. And she was like, well, you know, the language. I was like, mom, that's kind of part of the race thing. It's other than that, I don't have anything in common. At least at that point, I didn't feel like I did.
I,
But mom has been used to it, and mom was convinced by me that there was nothing she can do to change it. So it was always been like I kept Nikki, like when she was over at my place, like we kept ourselves to the background. And that was like the way we dealt with it. Like there was no open confrontations, there were no real, like, you know, mortars firing across the battlefield type stuff. It was always just like, okay, when I'm with Nikki, I I made sure we stayed out of my parents' way. But in the opposite way, like Nikki can tell you how much my mother-in-law adores me. That's one of the proudest things I am of, is that god damn does my mother-in-law adore me.
To the point that he's the favorite son, and I have two older brothers, so go figure. But to piggyback off of what Taki was saying, yeah, like we we did go through navigating our, like, my in-laws, his parents, um, just kind of like not staying clear out of their way. Like, I would visit, I would try to be respectful and whatnot, but there was that sort of like, and this is for lack of a better term, the sort of like, I consider it sort of like a cold fissure of sorts, where it's like you can tell that there's a sort of distance, a sort of like weirdness, because, and you're not really sure how to fill it. So I tried my best to, with as much grace, as much understanding, even though that was still a very difficult and challenging uh space to navigate through, especially because there's also that language barrier you have to deal with too. Like, his parents have a very basic, um, understanding of English. I mean, uh, like, they speak it, they can understand it, but as far as like having a very, like, a conversation like we're having right now, to discuss complexity, all that stuff, yeah, not feasible. Same thing with like my mother, as well. On the flip side, to go back to your question, Peter, those people that Taki was mentioning are former friends that, um, same thing like you guys, like, the friend in question, Chinese, former partner, Dominican, right?
Mhm.
And when we were visiting, whenever we were present, I have very clear memories of, like, that thinly veiled animosity, or just this sort of like casual, lack of respect, or, this, needless to say, without, taking too much time, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, I've seen it both ways. Like, I've had the fortune of just trying to, even though it was uncomfortable, I've had the fortune to just navigate through the uncomfortable territory
Mhm.
of having Chinese in-laws, but also just trying to like navigate that with as much respect as I can allow, and just show that, like, I'm not trying to start beef. I'm not trying to, I'm
Mhm.
trying to be respectful. I'm trying to, just be a good daughter-in-law, even though there is this insurmountable language barrier. And sometimes there is that feeling of like inferiority just because I am not Chinese. I don't have a grasp of Cantonese, or regrettably so. And there are moments where I'm just like, fuck, like, I would love to,
Yeah.
not to sound like a total nerd, at least try.
Try.
I do
Yeah.
try. But, and on the flip side, I have seen former friends that are no longer in my life navigate through that in the worst possible way, where, my former friend's parents, like, the dad was just very indifferent. He was very laissez-faire, hands off about the whole thing, but the mother was just,
Yeah.
yo.
So it's funny that you say that, and I'll tell you a small story about this situation, because it just happened not too long ago to me,
Oh,
where um I was talking to one of my uncles, and he's like, "So are you married to that Filipina girl?" And I'm like,
The
"No, she's
fuck?
not Filipina.
The
dog.
She's
fuck?
Chinese."
Filipino
You mean to
my
tell me
And
Michelle
ass.
isn't Korean?
Filipino my ass.
yes. Wait.
Why don't
So
we just
wait.
throw
So
Mexican in
wait.
there?
Right.
Hawaiian.
So wait.
My gosh.
So
I've
then
gotten those before.
Dominicans are a little jokey,
Yeah.
especially the family.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "So have you learned a little bit of?" Because I told him she's Chinese, and then he's like, "Have you learned a little bit of Ching Chong Chong?" And I'm like, "Come on,
Yo,
don't do
come
that.
on.
That's
Yo,
Which
disrespectful."
which one is this?
I'm not gonna mention his name, but I was
Oh, the one you've
yeah,
been talking to lately?
yes,
Oh, let
yes.
me go. I'm gonna go talk to him.
So I told him, I said,
Bring a knife.
don't
Yeah.
do that, don't do
Don't.
that. That's not nice. I
No,
wouldn't.
he need to bring a knife.
You wouldn't
No.
like for me to say,
Yeah.
the third wife that you have. You
I
know
was
what I'm
I
saying?
was gonna
Because
Ooh,
the
say, I
other
was
ones
I was
might
like,
yikes.
not work.
isn't this family
So
educated? They should
so
they are,
yeah,
right? They got college
so
degrees. Yeah.
yeah, so
Take that personally.
like I understand where you're coming from when it comes to that, because I just say Dominicans are super fucking wild, and you don't know what you're going to get from them. So,
Yep,
and especially when it comes from the family. So that's why I asked that question. How is
of
it?
course.
Because I say we, because I'm Dominican too.
Mm-hmm.
How when you put those two mixes, because like you said earlier, I have noticed Chinese, and I'll say Asian, I won't say Chinese, just Asian in general, when something goes on, they get very quiet. But the explosion in between the family and the conversation in the background is huge. Okay.
Yeah,
And Dominicans, they'll fight it out in front of each other, which is the complete opposite. So that's why I asked that question,
of
because I've
course.
seen it
Yeah.
in both sides.
Yeah. I like
Uh, I was gonna
and
say, Pete, I don't think you've seen the Cantonese side, but you will get to see that
man,
tomorrow.
Oh my God. So
listen,
it's funny.
I believe her, by the way, because like I said, with that former friend's family, like that quiet storm immediately became a hurricane. So like I said, like I'm grateful that I did not have that individual experience, but I was witness to like the shit hitting the fucking turbine. Uh as far as like, remembering when said Fred tried to address it,
Hmm.
tried to, hold said family member accountable, to defend said partner, especially when that partner, again, Dominican
Hmm.
male, right, was accused of, and even me at one point, even though like we had known each other for years at that time. But I remember when her mother would throw wild ass accusations about, oh, he did this and that. It's like just throwing him under the bus. So hey, it's it's unfortunate, but at the same time, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that, like, speaking as a Dominican, I have also seen that on our side too. I'm As far as like my family is concerned, I can't immediately think of anything from my memory, but there have been a couple of like slick comments from like like my elder brother, one who I particularly have a history of beef with, who has said some sick comments in the past. And of course, I have said some pretty foul shit myself that I will not repeat on air.
No, no, we don't want
um
you to. But let me say this: we have talked about this subject a lot. So I want Natasha to go ahead and throw the next question real quick. I
yeah,
don't want to cut you off, but I want to continue the
of
show real
course.
quick.
I was
So
gonna say
Nate,
you
go ahead.
technically did cut her off, but okay.
It's cool, it's
We
cool.
just call a spade a spade.
Okay,
No, it's cool, it's cool, it's cool.
all of it.
Oh, a
Like,
million. What
I'll let
isn't an
Taki take that one.
awkward? What isn't an awkward
Yeah, I was gonna see. I could see
encounter?
Nikki going through the whole timeline in the memory,
Yeah,
memory trying to like,
Yeah, I'm like,
just just an
which one?
interconnected string of PTSD flashbacks.
I'll let Taki
He's
take
using
that
that
one.
timeline like Apple when you go back in time. That's what he's going through.
I'm going through the
Yeah.
Marvel timeline of bullshit in my mind.
I was gonna say, which universe are we in? Awkward but cute.
It's always not like there's no way in hell where any of the interactions aren't going to be awkward. Like it's just impossible. But I kind of have to point out like it's like in our relationship with our in-laws, like we won the lotto, right? Because I think we got the one thing that like most people in interracial relationships or even inter-belief relationship, like in terms of like religion and all that stuff within the same race group, is that we got our parents accepted, right? Like as awkward as things are, they accepted us. Nikki has, for a long time, I've always chosen to leave Nikki out of like family like things on the Chinese side because it's just I don't want to hear it. Because I will explode, right? I have never had a problem pointing out to my family how ignorant I think they are or how uncouth I think they are. And I don't really care about being pointed out as the black sheep because, hey, I'm also the only kid in my family that has tattoos, as an example, right? It's my brand, right?
Me.
Like, come on. Um, but it's nice to just have acceptance. Like I think as a baseline, that is like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right? Because my mom knows that no matter what happens, my partner has my back. And she's happy because like my life could be way worse now. Right. And I've pointed it out. Like I've pointed it out in the past where like, oh, you used to say that, oh, you wish I was more like my cousin. But isn't it kind of refreshing that 10 years after you said that, we find out that my cousin is on drugs or my cousin is a criminal or any number of those things. It's not so nice to find out that the Chinese girl that he married got him into a bunch of really bad things. You enter your 30s with drugs and injuries and like, a criminal record. Like that wasn't someone of a different race doing that to your family. That was someone of the same like skin color or same set of like socioeconomic background and beliefs and all that stuff. Like this could happen anywhere. Race has nothing to do with it. And I'm not gonna say that like my mom is necessarily open, right? There's always that quiet layer of xenophobia, but like acceptance in this circumstance, like holy crap, I won the lotto here. So it's always gonna be a little bit awkward. And it's always awkward because my Spanish is terrible. And I can't really communicate with my mother-in-law the way that I want to communicate with her. And Nikki has plenty of like stories with that.
I was trying to think again because while he was speaking, I was still going through like the Marvel timeline, like I was saying. I think the only um how do you say? I guess the only times I can think it's awkward is when they try to speak to one another, to piggyback off of what Taki was saying. Because, like, sometimes, hearing a Dominican mother trying to, like, do her best to speak to her Chinese son in law, in my opinion, is sometimes hilarious. I don't think I have an awkward. I think for me, the only awkward part is when my mother constantly expects me to literally verbatim repeat the stuff that she wants me to tell him, such as, and tell him to make sure that he prays and that Jesus loves him. And I'm like, you say that. I do not want to say all that verbatim. And lo and behold, I find myself saying that verbatim just cuz. So yeah, but you would
It's
have to imagine that as of someone with like a very heavy like Dominican Spanish accent.
and it's funny that you say that because for years my grandma's she's very Catholic, and she
Mm.
will call me just to wanting to pray to my son. And I'm like, that's not
Oh,
something that we do. That's not something
yeah,
that we do. Like, I understand that you're trying to, or she'll ask me, have you baptized him yet? And I'm like,
yeah.
no, we're not doing that. Like,
Wait,
we're a whole different religion. So
you don't
Yup.
have to baptize him now. Remember, the Pope patched out limbo. You gotta remember, you gotta remember, in the MMORPG that is Catholicism, Pope Francis patched out limbo.
oh Lord,
I
I don't know
guess
what to do.
that's not.
Very little, tiny.
Yeah, yes, she's really
I,
tiny.
I
Lady's
feel
like, not,
you. Oh
nah,
my
she's like
God.
4 or 5. She's a tiny little lady.
Oh,
Like,
but I bet you she has hands though,
girl.
whether they're praying or swinging.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I bet you, yeah. It's
yes.
always like
Yeah.
it's always like the mini grandmas or the mini mamas that I don't know what it is, but they got praying hands, but they got swinging hands.
Hmm. And I
So,
call it that chancleta can fly anywhere.
yo, probably has like multi-directional,
Yeah, it can turn corners.
flexibility. Yep.
It can turn corners. That's what I like to say.
Oh my God. That's why, whenever my brother would call me, he'd be like, "How's mommy?" I'd be like, "She's great and swinging like a prison inmate. How are you?"
Mhm. That's how it is.
Oh, God.
But I think that's every nation has their grandmother has some way of swinging.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know like
Right.
a lot of Spanish is la chancleta, right? But I think every other has something else. So
I mean, what was it, Taki? Didn't you say? I mean, Chinese folks got that chicken feather duster. That shit will,
Oh,
it's like picking a
unlimited.
switch.
Yes, it's the rainbow
It's
colored one too. I remember
oh
Yeah.
man. It's
that
you
plastic
think you threw one out the window, out comes another one in the closet, you know?
closet.
There's
Oh my
there's an
God.
Yeah.
ever-ending black hole of
Oh
feather
yeah.
dusters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's crazy that you mentioned that because I had what was it? I had a couple colleagues in my old job, and they were Asian Latinos. She was
Mm.
Chinese, born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, but she was raised in the Dominican Republic,
Oh wow.
emigrated to the United States, right? And what was great was that, like, on occasion, I would ask her some questions because she was aware of my relationship with Taki, just to help me learn bits and pieces of Cantonese. Because even though I didn't get the opportunity to to greet my in-law because of work schedules and all that stuff, I still wanted to stay ready so I didn't have to get ready awkwardly. And I remember at one point I mentioned something about the chancleta. She was like, "Fuck that. You ever got your ass whooped by a feather duster?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"What?" And she was like, "Yeah, boy. Yeah."
So, Pete and I grew up getting beat by a back scratcher.
Oh yeah,
The
that too.
wooden ones?
Uh-huh.
yes,
The little hand,
Yup.
that was my
Yeah,
mom's
the little
favorite.
hand.
the little hand.
It
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
still
little hand.
is. It
Yeah,
still is. I was using it yesterday to scratch my back. She still has it.
I hate seeing that thing. I you know I got the metal one just because I didn't want to see the wood one.
I
So
Oh
I,
man.
I gotta I gotta
Yep.
say though, like it with Asian people, I kind of feel like if our parents can beat our asses with anything, every object is equal opportunity as long as it resembles a sword. I
Yeah.
have seen someone get
Yep.
their ass whooped by a spatula that they just took out of the wok.
Mm-hmm.
damn,
Yep.
damn.
That must have been hot as hell if it was out of a
Yeah.
wok.
I've I've also seen someone get their ass beat by a ladle. Just a
Mm-hmm.
woman
Oh
just
yeah,
swinging a
that
ladle. It's
deep
amazing.
silver
Yeah.
ladle. I was gonna
Oh
say
yeah.
you can get your ass beat by not even getting your ass beat with anything. You can just go and kneel for
I
like
mean,
like
Oh,
eight
on
hours
Hi.
rice.
and
Hi.
yeah, and go face a corner or holding your ears and just kneeling on your knees.
mhm.
You
Going
My
know,
to
my
Pete.
my favorite part of facing the corner as a kid is that I learned it from the Blair Witch and I scared my mom intentionally to do that, and
Oh
she
my
never
god.
did it again. The
Pete.
trick to deal with parents who use violence as discipline is to give them PTSD.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, yes.
Choosing
Pete.
violence on this beautiful day.
Pete, you remember my punishment, right?
no, I do not.
You don't? Me
No, I
kneeling on
don't.
rice, you would come
Oh
and
yeah,
sit next to me and be like, stop crying so she'll give you less time. And I'm
Oh
like,
my
yes,
Mom,
God.
no. And then I would
yes.
just scream and she would just add 5 more minutes. And I was like, this is fucking hell.
Yeah.
I'm under the impression that when they were researching for John Wick, they must have been like learning from like, from our parents or our grandparents.
Yep.
Because the concept that John Wick can just end your shit with
Mhm.
anything, a number two pencil, a book, just anything in the environment
Whatever works.
is up for equal grabs.
That's
That comes from
discipline.
somewhere.
Yep.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
called discipline.
Like my contributions, let's see. I've seen my mother, hmm. I've seen her use rolled up magazine, newspaper, classic, chancleta, leather belt, also another
Oh
classic.
yeah, very classic.
What
But Nikki,
else?
but Nikki, have you had a bell pepper thrown at you?
That's new. That's
Oh,
new.
oh,
My
I
dad
kind of
did that once.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Damn.
They would be wasting food for for my
Damn.
family,
right.
so I don't think they would do that.
I do
He
want to
was
ask Michelle this.
Yeah.
Have you ever witnessed someone getting their ass beat with a shirt?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
I
Shirt,
love
yeah.
how confused Cedric looks.
Yeah.
hanger.
I
He's
don't
just in awe. Like, how is that
You just
physically
gotta.
Cedric, I
possible?
don't know if you know you're mute.
Metal rulers.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
I'm here, and I'm here with the show. I'm listening. I'm learning. So yes.
Yeah, I got
I,
slapped with the kitchen. You know those kitchen gloves, the yellow ones that like
oh,
Dexter's mom had, and used to wash dishes and stuff when you don't want
Yes.
dry
Damn.
Ooh,
ass
we got
skin.
hit with those many
yeah.
times.
I
Yes,
Oh,
we did.
have
Yes.
in
yes.
my childhood best friend. He is a Cantonese fellow, but
Mm.
did not speak Cantonese or did not speak Chinese because his parents are like fully Americanized.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
but they were the immigrants. Like they were the ones who were born elsewhere.
Hmm.
And I remember this one time where his mom chased him around the house and swung a shirt at him. Realized it was not doing any damage. Have him stand right there, go to the bathroom to wet the shirt, and then whoop that ass.
Yeah,
Mm.
like you stay right
Yeah,
there. Be back.
Tavern Brawler, an improvised weapon, is race default in Cantonese
Yeah,
culture.
she went and upgraded that weapon.
Yeah,
She
So
she
enchanted
just
the
dipped it
What
weapon.
in water.
about
That was it.
Augmented the
so
weapon.
wait, so wait. Now that you guys said that, I remember my mom hit me one time. So Natasha knows where this is at, and I don't know if she remember because she was little. There is a phone in the kitchen.
Yep,
Um,
I know exactly where. Yep.
okay. So one day somebody called me. So you can either pick up. There was two phones in the house. There was one in the back by my room because I used to connect the internet when
Mhm.
AOL was around, and the other one was in the kitchen. One day, my mom was in the kitchen. She was cooking fish, and Dominican ladies, they buy the whole fish and then they
Mm-hmm.
fillet it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like this against the wall, talking to my friend with the phone, like over your shoulder,
Yeah.
because it was a cord phone back in the day.
Right, right.
And I remember saying in Spanish, sí, pero la mamá de ese muchacho es el diablo, which means the mother of that guy is the devil. And my mom knew who I was talking about, and that's her best friend. And she took the fish and hit me right there. And that fish, I
Yo.
remember that fish hit my face, and it was like the fish itself, like like he felt what I needed to feel because his blood hit the wall.
Oh,
And
I
I
so
have,
was
this is
like,
I
a
have a
raw
question
fish.
about
a
that.
raw fish.
No,
She
was
just
that
hit me
fish
with it.
was that fish scaled yet? Was it descaled yet?
No, it was not.
Oh
It was
yeah, you got
not.
smacked the fuck out of.
I got
Them
I
scales
have
will hit you.
never been on the floor so quickly in my life, y'all.
Look how about a
In my
fish.
life. Because she hit me right in the face. And when you hit somebody in the face, you discombobulate their whole entire fucking body.
Right.
I was in the floor. I don't even know where the phone went. I don't even know if I was awake. I was just in the floor. And I just looked at the wall and there was blood in the wall. And I thought it was me that I had bled. But it was the fish because he got hit. So that was like the time that I remember that I got hit by my mom. My mom
Oh
never
my
hit me. It
God.
was usually Natasha's dad. But that
Yeah.
was the time that my mom hit me that she smacked the living shit out of me. She
Yep.
knocked the fuck out of me.
God.
Mom was very
Disrespectful.
no, she was very, very anti corporal punishment. But when she hit us, she hit us.
Yeah.
It could have been worse.
How
That
much
was it
worse
was
was that?
I mean,
Yeah.
no.
it could have been a steamed fish, so he could have taken burn damage from it.
True.
Yeah.
She hit me
Perspective.
one. She hit me once coming out of the bathroom. She had a iron thing and she took the cord and she waited until I got soaked up and then she opened that curtain and fee-wah, fee-wah, fee-wah. And you know you jump in the bathroom. So I was sliding like a damn and naked too. But that's Dominican moms and you learn from it, you know?
Yeah, she caught you at your
This is
most vulnerable.
that's
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
terrible.
And you're older too, so you know, you can't do nothing.
Yeah,
And until
so
today she'll tell me I'll beat the hell out of you.
yup. Yup. She tells me too. I'm like, "Mom, I'm taller than you." She's like, "I don't care. I'll find a chair and I'll stand up on it and hit you."
Yeah, you
I'm
just
like, "All
asking
right."
for her to get more creative with you.
Yeah.
Yup.
It's so final thing I just wanted to add because I love how we like just deviated through. We're gonna circle back,
Yup.
I promise.
That's
So
96 in reverse.
Yeah.
It
yes,
happens.
so yeah, so final cuento. I remember, I do not remember what led to this, but I remember my mother was, mind you, my mother's like 5 feet, woman of God. She's Pentecostal, but
So
very
is our mom.
loving. Yeah. So, yeah,
I
I'm
didn't know
talking
that.
about floor length skirts and
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So, my brother is like 6'1". I don't know what the hell possessed him. In the midst of her talking, in the midst of her, I think she was just on one of those like diatribes because once you start her about the Bible, yo. So I think I remember he lost his patience and he said what should have been his final words. I remember at one point he just goes like that. He was like, yo, can you just shut the fuck up? I, in all of my years on God's green earth, have never seen somebody swing that fast and dodge that fast. Like, I'm talking about she just w- jabbed him. No, bullshit, like a cross, just whoop. And he, like, I saw it just graze him.
Hmm.
Like she went for his jaw. And he just jumped back, looked at me. He was like, "Did you see that?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's called fucking around and finding out." What makes you think that she wasn't going to try and break you in your shit? And I think she tried again, missed, because, height difference, I guess, or poor form. And I think at some point she did get him. And after that, you know, she just cussed him the whole fuck out. Like, normally she's one of those that, no, I can't say that. Yo no puedo decir eso. I don't use bad words because Dios no le agrada eso. God doesn't approve of that. Oh, but when you had her all the way fucked up, she was
Yep.
just verbally decimating him. I
I
was just like,
don't
I have no party to this. I'm walking away.
so I don't know to this day whether or not Spanish people have I'm pretty sure Michelle's very familiar with the concept, right? It's the killing aura.
Hmm.
Not like we watch enough of the Asian dramas with our parents and kids, and they always come up with the killing aura. When I first met Nikki's mom, there was something in my soul that says, "Yo, don't mess with this woman. She's got hands." Like you just feel it coming out in waves. And I gotta point out that I'm very aware that I'm very lucky that with that woman with the lightning hands.
Mm,
The only thing that she has ever done to raise her hands at me is to give me a hug.
that's good. That's awesome.
Like,
Oh,
The
and it could have been worse. It could have been worse. And I'm very happy that that's all it ever was.
the only
I
thing I'm gonna say to what Nikki said earlier was "Hoop hee." Everybody knows what that means.
yep.
Wait, run that again. I'm sorry. What was that?
Hoop hee. And if you guys don't know what that is, it's Moto Comeback.
It is. I grew
So
up like Mortal Kombat. Yeah.
It's been years.
Ah, man. Every day I spend with my mother, depending on how things go, is like Mortal Kombat.
For coming by. It was a pleasure having you guys.
Thank you for having us and so much. It's been a blast. Thank you guys.
Thank
Yes,
well,
you
thank
so
you very
ladies
much.
and
There
gentlemen,
was some.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Cedric.
Oh, there was so much that I've learned today. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you for
But wait, there's
listening.
more.
No, 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 Billy Mays.
Oh my gosh, not Billy
Michelle, is
Mays.
there anything else you want to say?
It was great having y'all here. I mean, I was gonna say we couldn't fit everything in, but hopefully there'll be a part two and future and all that
Yes,
stuff.
Yes.
I
I'm
would
trying to
very
wrap
much look
this up.
forward.
But yes, I'm
Yeah.
trying to wrap this up because my dogs keep barking because somebody's outside, and I'm like, dang it.
So,
Sure.
ladies, don't leave yet, and gentlemen, don't leave yet. But I will say, ladies and gentlemen, 96 and return is over.
Reverse. What?
96 in reverse.
It is 96 in reverse, and you can have the worst of my drink, and we can switch places. Now we are